Greetings everybody, my name is KG Prestige and welcome back to another video here on this channel. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and talk about Pokemon Champions, a title that was revealed back in the Pokemon Presents earlier this year. I know it's been like, 2 months since that came out already by this point, but I did want to talk about it since I had a discussion not too long ago about my overall impressions on Pokemon Legends ZA and how I'm kind of looking forward to that. But Champions, on the other hand, is looking to be a very intriguing title amongst all of the stuff that we've seen so far for Pokemon, mainly because of the fact that it really does do something that I think a lot of fans have been asking for generations now, which is take every element that has been introduced since its very beginnings, all of the content that has been provided since then and now, and bringing it into one single package. Mega Evolution, Z moves, Gigantamaxing, Dynamaxing, Terrestrialization, like all of the concepts that you would expect from a Pokemon game that you would think would never appear in one title, now bundled together in one package. Pokemon Champions is legitimately a really cool concept. When the trailer first dropped off, we were kind of confused as to what it was looking to be. Was it going to be like a remake of classic titles because they were showing off some of the old school Pokemon games and whatnot? And then as time passed on, it introduced more and more footage of other games before eventually leading to this one person who's playing the game on his phone, but also it's playable on Nintendo Switch consoles as well. And I'm going to presume that the Nintendo Switch 2 is also going to carry that as well for this title. But yeah, what exactly is Pokemon Champions? What can we expect from this particular game? And so I wanted to go ahead and read a little bit of the synopsis that is on the official Pokemon Champions website. I have it open over here. So let's go ahead and take a read real quick. Get ready to experience everything you love about Pokemon battles all in one place. In Pokemon Champions, this new battle-focused game will feature familiar mechanics such as Pokemon types, abilities, and moves, creating an environment conducive to rich and varied strategies for new and experienced trainers alike. It is not just familiar mechanics. You'll be able to bring in classic Pokemon from Pokemon Home too. Look forward to cross-platform battles alongside your favorite Pokemon on Nintendo Switch and mobile, with a variety of different modes available for your desired experience. Okay, this is cool. First of all, my big thumbs up that I have to give for this already is the fact that Pokemon Home is going to be implemented into this. This is giving me vibes to the old school Pokemon Stadium games, and even Battle Revolution, I think it was, for the Nintendo Wii. We're able to carry Pokemon from the DS titles or the Game Boy titles for Stadium and bring them over into the 3D games. And back in the day, that was really revolutionary and something that wouldn't really be seen at the time. And, nobody thought that this would ever happen. Like, oh my god, we're getting one step closer to seeing Pokemon battles in the third dimension, almost like as if we're playing, straight out from the show. So time passed on and more of this sort of concept got introduced throughout other spin-off titles. I think Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale Darkness kind of carry that as well. If you connect it to your Game Boy Advance with Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, that's a possibility there. And then Battle Revolution with the Wii. But after that, it's just kind of been quiet. And for the most part, that's mainly because of the fact that on the 3DS, battling really became stellar there, with X and Y, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, etc., etc. So it was like there was no real reason to kind of divvy up the competitive scene when your main core game has all of that in one space. However, that kind of mindset now can't really happen too much, mainly because of the fact that mostly every generation that we, jump from since Gen 6 has introduced a new theme or a new element that tends to not get carried over into the next game. The only one that really did that, I believe, was Mega Evolution, where it was a Gen 6 thing carried over into Oros, and then also carried into Sun and Moon. But after Sun and Moon, eventually when we went into Sword and Shield, that element was completely gone, and even Z moves as well. And now we went into a new theming with Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing. Moving on into Paldea, Terraform was the next big thing, and it completely scrapped the concepts that came prior as well. And it makes sense, you know. But this also came at a cost as well, because there were certain things that were exclusive to Mons, or Mons that were built off these certain elements that couldn't use them in future games. I'm looking specifically at the Pokemon from Sun and Moon. What was his name again? It's Solgaleo, Lunala, and then what was that third beast? I'll probably put the Mons somewhere around here because I can't remember the name for the life of me. Who had a form in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and completely is no longer present in any of the games moving forward. And then there was also that other Mon in Sword and Shield that had, I believe, a Gigantamax form that you can't really use because once we went into Generation 9, Gigantamaxing was no longer a thing. And so that Mon kind of became a little bit on the pointless side as well in the background. I'll probably put that one over here. So, as you can see, certain themes, certain elements, certain Mons as well, no less, suffered from moving into generation and generation with new themes, new mechanics, new battle concepts. And so Pokemon Champion seems to kind of remedy that because it's taking all of the core assets of each Pokemon title and putting it into one package. And not only is this game going to be something that can not only just be played on the Switch, but also on your phone as well, which is such a really big deal because most people will have phone accessibility at a much easier time than, say, with a Nintendo Switch. Sometimes, you know, we keep our Switches home and whatnot, or we ever take them for trips. But like a phone, everybody has their phone on their hand at all times in this generation. So being able to connect your Pokemon home into your smart device and being able to lock in and go into a Pokemon battle, well, maybe you're like in the middle of lunch break or you're doing this or that, and just whipping up a Pokemon battle with other players across the world at any given point in time, with any themes, any concepts. I'm not really sure how the rule mindset is going to be like, but if it is as good as they're trying to make it be, this could really change not only Pokemon battling, but also like the competitive scene as a whole, because this is going to shape up certain things that will make battling a lot more strategic than ever before. Mega Evolution, Z moves, Gigantamaxing, Dynamaxing, and Terraforms are now all going to be in one package. And given that next year is going to be the 30th anniversary for the Pokemon franchise, I'm going to assume the 10th generation is going to be right around the corner. That's going to also introduce a new element into the theme, and that will probably also carry over into Champions as well. So you have like 5 to 6 styles of battling right here. And so the balance of this is going to be insane, but also at the same time, if they just let it go free, where you can have one of Z moves, one of Gigantamax, one of Mega Evolution, one of Terraform, I think that would make this one of the most insane scenes in the Pokemon franchise. Being able to almost replicate the Pokemon World Coronation series from Pokemon Journeys would be incredible. I would lose my mind if that level of free ability, like free access to do all of this, if that was a thing in this game, I think that would be wonderful. Imagine just being like, and they even show it in the trailer too. They straight up show in one of the screenshots that what was it? Mega Charizard X is battling against the Donzo in its Terra form. So like they're clearly trying to tell you, yes, the rules in this game are limitless. All of the themes we have in ready and preparation for you is possible. And so to me personally, this not only makes the competitive scene a more accessible thing for, I think, more people, but it also will make it more fun in a sense, because of the fact that as generations continue to pass by, more and more of how gaining the ability to max out your stats or get moves and whatnot has become a lot more approachable and easily accessible through every game. Gen 9 might be a little iffy because you got to kill certain mons and whatnot to acquire items that they drop so you can craft the TMs and whatnot. But if we go back to the old roots where we can just keep one TM and that can be used limitless for any mon, if we go back to that style in Gen 10 and we can maintain the level of accessibility that they have in Generation 9, where you can just use the bottle caps to straight out max out the stats of your Pokemon, please, by all means, do that. I legitimately think this is going to pave the way for a lot of new gen folks to come into this game in the competitive side of things. And I really want to dabble into it. Now, I've dabbled a little bit in it with Generation 9, maybe not too much as I thought I would have, but I was a really big fan, more so under the style of just simply collecting and grinding and maxing out my characters. Like, I love that. I loved when I was able to battle against or battle with other characters, fighting against these Blissies or Chanseys or the Terraforms in the Terra Caves and whatnot. Like, I really enjoyed that a lot. Like, the procedure to just get a Pokemon maxed out is, to me, the most fun I've had with Pokemon in the modern era. And while I might not be the best competitive battler out there, the procedure and the way to get to that, I feel, is what's going to drive this game forward into now making it more fun for everyone. And this also kind of makes me, I guess, a little concerned for Gen 10 in a sense, because Gen 10 really needs to make sure that they continue that momentum of free ease when it comes to maxing out or leveling up your Pokemons to their best abilities, being able to acquire proteins and all the other things to like raise their stats, being able to get TMs without needing to kill 100 mons to get a particular feather that they drop by random, being able to I guess restore stats back to their original settings if you mess something up. And like, the Gen 10 needs to do what Gen 9 did, but of course streamline it even more to where it becomes a lot more accessible for audiences. And I think this will be great. I really will believe that we'll have teens of the new generation of Pokemon fans versus like the old school Pokemon fans, all now under a similar thresh right there, where there really won't be one above the other. This will also create a way for like content creators to like stream or maybe like show off videos about like, oh hey, by the way, this is the best way you can create this Pokemon, this is the best way you can grind for these things. For champions, I think champions can really do so much, and I really hope that they succeed in this, because from what I've seen, from the footage that they've shown off, it looks like it is a lot of fun. And I don't want them to screw this up. Please don't screw this up. The mere fact that you straight out right away mentioned that Pokemon Home is already going to be implemented in this in some capacity already gives me an extreme level of high hope that I cannot wait to see what comes from this. And I really hope that as time passes on, when more gens get introduced, that Pokemon Champions isn't just simply given a sequel or something like that. No, keep this as like that one platform. Keep this as that one title that will continuously update over time for ages. I think this would be a great way for longevity for the competitive scene, and also will just make things, I don't know, a lot more easier and accessible for all. At least that's what I think anyway. But yeah, no, when Gen 10 finally gets introduced, and because we don't really know an official release date for Champions as of this point, I'm going to assume it's going to release somewhere close to when Gen 10 drops. I'm really hoping that that everything that we've discussed today is applicable in this game, and I hope that the ease of like taking your Pokemon from the Gen 10 games to home without needing to take them out of the games can be something that they can work on as well, because having to finish with a Pokemon and then reminding yourself, oh, I gotta drop it into home and then I can use it in Champions. Like, no, if I can just carry my Mons that are in the Gen 10 games without needing to bring them over to home and just use them through that, I think that would be a better approach in my opinion. But that all depends on whether or not they're gonna actually do that. So at this point, I'm really spitballing here. There's really not much to go by. We don't really got many details as of this point, but one thing for certain is that this is looking to be a very, very fun title. But it all, I guess, boils down to the individual. Because at the end of the day, are you going to be one that intends to go out of the way to grind for these things, for maxing out the level stats, or are you just going to go play casually? I think this can be applied in any direction. I guess it just all depends on like how you want to approach it, There is no real wrong answer to this. It's just your choice. It's similar to like a Pokemon. Yes, there are Pokemons that are ranked amongst the very top, but you can really go with any Mon out there and make it work. You just have to find the right strategy to make it happen. So I wish the best of luck to all trainers who intend to do this, and I'm looking forward to my own journey as well with this. Pokemon as a franchise kind of has dwindled down a little bit for me, not gonna lie. But if Champions is done in the way that I hope it is, I feel like that resurgence or that joy of Pokemon battling that I've had for since back in the Gen 6 days is something that like lightens up again in me, and I can replay these games again and have fun with them again, and in the best way possible. So Generation 10, I look forward to seeing how you're going to be like in Nintendo Switch 2. And I cannot wait to see what the competitive scene is going to look like with Gen 10 once that also drops as well into Champions. So, ladies and gents, please let me know in the comments down below what do you guys think about Pokemon Champions as a whole. Now that like a couple of months have passed since the release or the announcement of Champions, are you looking forward to it? Are you going to try to be competitive? Are you going to try to, grind for all of the necessary tools and equipment necessary for Pokemon to be utilized at their maximum settings? You know, actually, that would also be really good if we don't need to grind for like the held items and Pokemon Champions just offers all of them to us, so we don't have to go grab them. Just make sure you have your Pokemon in the right settings and all that. That you have to work for. But the held items, nah, we'll give those to you at least. If you do that, if you do that, you got a thumbs up in my book. So yeah, that's all I got to say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. Hope you guys enjoyed this little topic I had for tonight. And I'll talk with all you lovelies in whatever video I make. Take care, everybody. And as always, have yourselves a wonderful day. Toodles!